Welcome back. Now it's time for Tribal Talks. Tribal Talks, it's a campaign bringing together Tribal Egypt to the world by the Ministry of Environment and, of course, in collaboration with the UNDP and the Ministry of Culture. They launched an online video campaign on Egyptian tribes, Tribal Talks. It's only from 4 to 7 minute video series running from June to August 2023 to have this spotlight on this valuable part of the Egyptian community, of the Egyptian society. Well, we are going to know more about the tribal culture, the Bedouins, their traditions, their habits. We do have a specialist who is going to tell us and in detail all about the tribal culture. Our lecturer in Ain Shams University and member of the Cultural Supreme Council. We are very much delighted to have with us Dr. Hussein Banhawy. Thank you very much for being with us, Dr. Hussein.
Thank you.
How do you see first, before going into details, the idea of Tribal Talks as a campaign, I mean?
Well, it is a very good idea actually, because tribals have their own culture, and it is very rich culture. We can call it the culture of tribal civilization, and they have their own customs, their own habits. This is very much, we are in need actually to focus on their life, how they live, what are their needs, how to enhance their culture, how to make them more connected with the whole Egyptian society.
Yes, amen to that, sir. But also, we should know more about the diversity of tribes we have. I mean, yes. Those in Matruh, for example, or in Siwa are different than in Sinai. And of course, this is something to enrich our heritage.
Yes.
Let's know more about the differences among tribes in different geographic locations in Egypt.
Yes. No doubt that environment has its impact on these tribes. For example, when you study tribes in the south of Egypt, they are different from those who live in Matruh and those who live in the Sinai Peninsula. Therefore, I always say that we need to make more studies on these tribes in different parts, especially the borders of Egypt, because that will help the specialists to supply them with the culture which make them more connected to the whole Egyptian society. But I would like to refer here that these tribes, as Margaret Mead she is a specialist in cyber societies and studying societies. She is very famous anthropologist, said that these tribes in different parts of the world actually had a very long time, maybe hundreds of years, to wave their own culture. Therefore, studying this culture, which is the desert culture, is very important for any scholar or researcher to know more about this, as they have different culture in different parts of the world and in different parts of Egypt.
In Egypt, can I say that they do have different languages or dialects, and what's the difference, if you permit me to ask?
As a matter of fact, I discovered that they have their own language, but it is a spoken language only.
Like the Nubian?
Like the Nubian, yes. It is a spoken, and it's called the Tibdawi.
Okay.
Tibdawi language. They talk between that, but they speak mainly Arabic language. And by the way, bigger tribes, which I made my studies on them, extend from Egypt to Sudan, to Djibouti, to Eritrea, to Ethiopia. All these countries has the bigger tribes, and they have their own customs, their own habits, and also they live in a very primitive life, as a matter of fact, which it depends on caring about camels and the trading
being
camels.
shepherds and fishermen
Yes,
before being anything. But the
shepherding.
crafts also are really great. I mean, when I have a purse or a bag, for example, coming from those areas, it's really valuable, and
It
they
is.
are artists by nature.
Yes, it is.
They are
Therefore, yes,
genuinely talented.
it is true. Therefore, the chairman of the General Egyptian Book Organization decided many years ago to give them a special pavilion to show their crafts and to show their arts, in order to make people here in Cairo know about them, and not even in Cairo, all the visitors of the book fair, International Cairo Book Fair, they accustomed to go to their pavilion, the biggest pavilion, to know about their arts, their customs, and their habits. And actually, they are getting nearer and nearer to be a part of the whole Egyptian society.
But they do have their own philosophy,
This is true.
their own way of life.
Yes.
And it seems that this is inherited, this is genetic.
It is true.
This is messages conveyed from the grandpas and the fathers to the sons.
It is true. It is true.
Tell us more about their own philosophy in life.
As a matter of fact, they live a very primitive life. They lead a very primitive life. That's one point. The other point, that they refuse to settle in houses and building houses. They have their own philosophy. When I asked them why you refuse to settle in houses, they say that this will cost us too much, and we have our own animals which eats and feed on the desert plants. Therefore, when we settle, from where we're going to feed our animals, therefore they go round as tribes in the desert, and they live in the khema, tenants.
But sir, if you permit me to interrupt here, thank God that they are all healthy.
They are.
They are living, I'm not going to say primitive life, but simple life. Being that simple, it's really great, and it seems that they are very much used to this kind of life, and they love it this way.
They love it this way, it is true, but the problem is with their children, because these children need education. How to educate these children, which they are the next generation, the coming generation. We should care about them. Therefore, some of them leave their children in the city and go to their rounds in the desert. And they come to visit them every 2 months or something like that.
Yeah.
So the coming generation might accept the idea of settling in houses.
And to have the benefits of both lives, living in the desert and living in the urban communities
It is
in the
big
same time,
difference.
but not to lose their identity.
Yes.
I think they are doing everything not to lose their identity and the characteristics of their special life. True?
This is true, and I add to one thing which is very important, that these people don't know about the borders, the political borders of countries. Therefore, they go sometimes to Sudan and come back. They don't know what is the meaning of political borders.
Yeah.
And this is very important to know, to teach them that there is a borders and the political borders which should be respected.
Amen to that, but I cannot say that they are not enjoying such a deep sense of loyalty and sense of belonging to our country, to Egypt.
This is
and
true.
Their role in many occasions, it cannot be forgotten. If you want to elaborate on that too.
That's true, and that's what we actually studied, that they have belonging to Egypt, and Egypt also, the government annually send them what they need, because they are not in touch with governmental bodies as we do here in Cairo, for example. They have their own contacts, they have their own law, they have their own I can say system of judging, That is also studied, and I studied all these things, and I found that they are very happy with their way of life.
Jubilee, الغرقانة, الترابين, we do have a lot of tribes, and for us they are a little bit, I'm not going to say strange names, but we don't know that much about them. If you want to elaborate on those names.
Well,
As examples, of
yes,
course.
yes. As a matter of fact, I also made some studies on the south of Sinai, tribes in the south of Sinai. And I found they are totally different from those in the south of Egypt. And because, as I said before, that the environment has its reflection and impact on the people. Actually, when I studied the bigger tribes in the south of Egypt, I found that their main profession was shepherding. While also in the south of Sinai, they started to, say for example, take jobs in tourism, and they do also shepherding as a job. They do fishing sometimes, but all this is going to be changed, because when they see tourists and they see hotels there in the south of Sinai, they start to be attracted to such jobs, which is more profitable, and also that it changed the life there in the south of Sinai greatly, in contrast with that in the Halayb and Shalatin, which are the bigger tribes.
And the Amazigh too.
We don't have as Amazigh as such, but we have bigger tribes in the south of Egypt, and we have, as you mentioned, some tribes in the south and in the north of Sinai.
And
Matruh, also Siwa, Nubia. Also, these tribes, actually, we should focus more about their life, their way of life.
We are, and these campaigns, I think they are going to play such a role in this.
That's great.
There are differences also in their kitchen, for example.
Oh yes, they have their own food, definitely. And I've tried their food, actually. The most interesting thing which I found, that they don't eat fish, for example, despite the fact that they are on the Red Sea. They don't like fish as such. They eat meat mainly. Their food is very simple, and they depend on camels in their food, and they also depend on the bread, which it use the heat of sun to be cooked. And all
bread, or العيش الشمسي, as we call it in Arabic.
Yes,
it's very famous.
That's true. Actually, when they get married, for example, they put a tenant in the desert, and they start to saying that we're going to get married, and everybody comes around or pass by must donate them or put some money to them to help them to start their new life. And it's a very simple tenant. And this is interesting, actually.
Sure, it is. And their habits are really nice.
It's true.
They do have their own festivals, let's say so, their own celebrations.
Yeah.
And with the rise of tourism and with being experts in the white desert, for example, they do lead safaris, and they make every guest enjoy every single minute in his or her stay, of course. If you want to elaborate on that too,
yes,
sir.
Actually, I agree with you. And the most interesting thing which we should mention, that these areas has protected areas.
Protectorates or
yes, they have protected areas. I actually the governorate of the Red Sea gave me a car with a driver, which enabled me to go into the desert there and see these protected areas.
Like in Al-Fayoum, in Wadi Rayyan,
Wadi Rayyan and Wadi Al-Hitan and so on.
Wadi Hitan, the Wales Valley.
Yes,
you name
it's true.
It, yeah?
Yes. As a matter of fact, when I stopped some of these Bedouins and I asked them about their life, I felt that they are very happy. And that gives us indication that happiness doesn't depend on the luxury life.
No, it's simplicity.
It's simplicity. And they lead their life in satisfaction.
Yeah.
And they don't need anything more than just leading an easy life. They believe in that the life is easy in the desert. They don't actually need more than that. But medical care actually extended to these areas. And the most interesting thing which I found that a small tablet could do a magic in curing their remedies, because for a very long time no medical care was given to them.
Now the case is different. You are going to find medical envoys going to very remote areas in Egypt.
Now there are many efforts being done to actually give them health care and to cure their remedies. And I think the government is taking care of these tribes now.
And one final question, sir, regarding Bedouins in Egypt. And as we said, they are scattered all over the country, whether in the south or in the north coast or in Sinai. Sir, what we can do, or what's our homework as the Egyptian people to let them feel that they are totally integrated into our society and let them enjoy our Egyptian identity, whether you are living in the north, in the south, by all means, by the end of the day, you are a full-blooded Egyptian.
Yes, I thank you for this question actually, because one of my recommendations was to extend cultural activities to these areas. And this is being done actually because the Egyptian culture is very diverse
and
rich. Therefore, we can discover their talents, their culture, and we can introduce this culture. Say, for example, some of the dramas in the TV focus on the culture of Upper Egypt, people in Upper Egypt. No, I want drama also extend its activities and focus on the drama of the Bedouin in El Biga and in Sinai and in Matruh. All this will actually enhance the Egyptian culture, which is already very diverse.
Sir, I enjoyed our discussion.
Thank
you very much, and we are going to leave you, sir, with a promise to see you again in more episodes of Nile.
Definitely.
We were very much delighted to have with us Dr. Hussein Banhawy, our lecturer, and the member of the Cultural Council, lecturer, of course, in Ain Shams University. Right after this, we are going to return back with more, so stay tuned.